guys, Ryan Nitzen with Cycle News Magazine, and today we just wrapped up our first ride on the 2021 RMZ 250. And a lot of people already know, but the bike is virtually unchanged for this year, except a pretty sweet set of bold new graphics. That along with the MX 2.0 tuner, which allows riders to actually use a smartphone app to program a coupler which goes in the bike. The bike still has a 3 coupler system, but you now have kind of a little more adjustability, kind of like the Yamaha. It has that very similar phone app to where you can adjust ignition timing, fuel, mapping, all that stuff. So pretty cool to see that on the Suzuki. This bike was brand new in 2019 when it got the new redesign. This is the latest generation. And since then, the bike hasn't really changed that much. One thing that we want to address, the suspension is pretty stiff out of the box. I'm 2 clicks in on compression, 2 clicks out on the rebound. I left the shock alone because I actually thought the shock was okay. I thought the power actually had good connectivity to the rear wheel, just I couldn't get the fork to work for me. So I kept having I just had no front wheel grip, if that makes sense. So coming into the turns and stuff, I just kind of had no good feeling from the front end. And then later in the day, it's like 3 o'clock at Glen Helen right now, so definitely a rough day for a first ride test on the RMZ. I've had really good luck with this bike at like Paris or at Star West or State Fair. Kind of a track where it's a little bit smoother, more jumpier, where the stiffer suspension actually kind of works in your favor. But on a day like this, when it's deep and the ruts are big and the bumps are big, it definitely doesn't really do the bike any favors. As far as power goes, the bike's actually not too bad. I kind of relate it to kind of the gas power, where it's very smooth. There's no big hit to it. It kind of has a long carry-on. Towards the top, it does kind of die out, and you do have to shift it a little bit more than the gas, and then also more often than some of the other bikes in the class. It's definitely not something a pipe or an ignition won't fix. There's definitely good power on this bike, but nothing that's going to get away from you or anything too frightening. Okay, a few things I want to address with this bike. So first of all, everyone wants to get on board and start, on the internet bashing the Suzuki and the Suzuki brand. Oh, dude, it's not this. Oh, dude, it's not that. Well, the only thing that really bums me out on that is you see a team like JGR go away because they literally don't have enough funding from Suzuki to keep going racing. And then all those people on the internet are like, oh, dude, you're not racing anymore. Like, that sucks. We miss JGR. Well, it's like, dude, you shouldn't have been out there bashing the Suzuki brand and stuff. And like, I get it. Like, the bikes don't have e-start. The suspension's been a little bit outdated. The bike is kind of a little bit outdated, right? But in a way, I kind of relate it to the mountain bike world. And if a lot of you guys, a lot of the moto guys are riding mountain bikes these days, I kind of picture it like SLX, right? The SLX group set, where maybe a factory edition KTM would be like the XTR S-Works, the premier top of the line, sickest model out there. Where the Suzuki, it's like a lot of people are still buying SLX. It's still really good. It still gets the job done. It's just not the lightest. It's not the, fastest shifting type thing. That's kind of how I relate it. A lot of these bikes, the Suzuki, it's a solid bike. It's just a little bit off the mark. Personally, I have a lot of friends that are still riding 05s, 06s, 07s, right? I mean, shoot, 2010 was 11 years ago, right? So a lot of guys that I know personally would love to be on a bike with 0 hours, and who cares if it has kickstart, right? Kickstart, it's got EFI, 0 hours, it's brand new. A lot of people that I know personally are still out there rocking old gear. I mean, come on, not everybody can afford or wants to buy. Well, I guess everyone wants to buy a brand new bike, but not everyone can afford to buy a brand new bike. So to have something that's under the $12,000 mark, I think is really a good thing, and I think a lot of people still are in the market for a Suzuki. Another one that I think is a big hit for this bike is somebody coming off an 85 or a Super Mini. I don't agree with people who are jumping from an 85 to a fully built 250F. I think a lot of people are skipping the 125 these days, and to me, the Suzuki is a perfect stepping stone bike where you're going to get on a 250F. Maybe you're full size. I grew pretty fast when I was a kid, so to jump from an 85 or a Super Mini to a big bike, I kind of had no choice, and I didn't get a 125. I went straight to a 250. I was riding a 252 stroke. I think jumping to a 254 stroke like the Suzuki is going to be a good option because it is reliable. It doesn't have too much power to where it's going to get away from you like a fully built KTM or a fully built Cowie or something like that. A lot of these parents I see out here today, these little dudes are on a pro circuit 250. I don't think that's the right move personally, but I think this is a good kind of stepping stone bike. And to add to that, I see a lot of parents who are out here racing the C-Class, and the kid's got 3 Husky 250s. You know, they're fully built out, and the kid's out there racing. Maybe he's doing good, maybe he's not. Something that I think that a Suzuki has a stronghold in is, hey, if you're going to try to go make it and you want to get a practice bike and a race bike, you're going to save a little bit of money on the price of the Suzuki. And if you want to go try it, like you want to try to go make it this year, race all the nationals, this is going to be a good option bike to where a C-Class rider or somebody who's kind of getting their feet wet isn't going to be something that's overpowering or too scary to ride. You know, it's something that a kid can really get his feet wet on and go for it, you know, give it a big shot. Another thing to go along with the Suzuki is the cockpit's super friendly. There's Renthal fat bars on here, which is a nice bar. Bars, grips, levers, all that's like very standard. Pegs are pretty good. They're not too wide, not too narrow. Overall, like the cockpit, I think is pretty friendly. I just moved the levers a little bit to where I like them. But the bike just feels like very average. Nothing really stands out on it. It's solid, don't get me wrong, it's a very solid bike. But if you're looking for a factory edition or you're looking for a Husky 250F, this is not that bike. It is a solid competitive 250, I believe. Maybe at the factory level when you're tearing down everything in the motor to rebuild it and, you know, get every millimeter out of everything. But on the local level, most of the guys here are not fast enough to ride a Suzuki 250F or a 450 to its full potential. So this is not like I said, it's not a Husky 250 or a factory edition KTM, but it's a solid 250 4-stroke, right? It's going to get the job done. I think those guys who are looking at a new bike, and if you don't mind kicking a bike and you're okay with some suspension, or maybe you're a bigger guy and you need stiffer suspension out of the box, this is going to be a solid bike for you. Like I said, I know a lot of guys who are riding 2010s, 2011s, they're kicking their bikes, and if for $8,000 for a brand new bike and you still want to kick it, hey, that's fine. You don't feel like putting up the extra $3-4 grand for E-Start and like butter smooth suspension, or you're gonna get your suspension done anyways. Solid bike. Okay, I think that kind of wraps it up here. We're gonna keep riding this bike, keep fine tuning it, kind of get a good suspension setting, mess with some of the ECU mapping. Today we went with the aggressive map, which is something I've done in the past. When I rode this bike last year, I put that in, and I like the delivery of it. It just gives it a little bit more pep in the step. So definitely going to keep riding it, enjoying it. I had fun on the Suzukis the last couple of years. They've been super reliable to me. So yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you some more.